What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. I've been looking into my dividend portfolio, and there is a market sector that I would like to add more exposure in. So out of a portfolio of over $11,000, I currently have 944 in industrials names. That is 8.51% of the portfolio, where I have set a target of 12%. So I was thinking what stocks I should be taking a look into. And with current geopolitics situation, there is one industry I'm particularly interested. That is aerospace and defense, and the stock I have in mind is Lockheed Martin, ticker symbol LMT. In exactly 1 year, the stock is up for 8.56%, though zooming out to 5 years result is better, plus 53.92%. Company's market cap is $115 billion US. It is trading at a price-to-earnings ratio of 20.79, and currently the stock is at a dividend yield of 2.64%. So we'll check into financials and fundamental ratios, at what price analysts expect the stock will be trading going further, and what superinvestors and insiders are doing with it right now. The last time I've checked into LMT there were a few positives, but I also found some negative metrics. So we'll check on most of these again to see if we can find positive improvements or if it's not yet the right time to start a position in it. Make sure to support the channel with an early thumbs up, and with that out of the way, let's begin. So the first part we are taking a look into is revenue. Here is LMT's history of the last 5 years. It has been consistently moving higher up to the end of 2021 with $67 billion in revenue for the trailing 12 months. But after that, we did see a bit of a slowdown. First quarter of 2022 was down 7.96% year over year, and then second quarter down even more, minus 9.3%. Now there was a bit of a bounce in the second half of the year. Fourth quarter was the largest it has ever been at $18.99 billion, plus 7.12% year over year. But summing up the year, that was still around $1 billion down from 2021. Now the first quarter of this year is not very much promising, at $15.1 billion, though higher 1.1% year over year. Now for the next metric we are taking price to earnings. So for 3 years the company was trading with a PE of around 15, but then we saw price surging in 2022, so the first quarter PE was 18.88, and then second quarter was the worst, with low earnings per share at $17.28, so the PE went up to 24.25. Then we saw some opportunity in the third quarter of 2022 at a price of around $380 per share, with a PE ratio of 17.4, but then ended the year surging up again, with the price topping at $480 and price to earnings at 22.17. Though recently the prices have come down a bit, but the P ratio is still way higher than historical values, currently at 20.6. Though the results from the previous 2 metrics were not great, there is one that the company seems to be committed, and that is buying back their own shares. So in 2018 the number of shares out was at 288 billion, then in 1 year in 2019 it was down to 284 billion shares, minus 1.39% year over year. In 2020 another decrease to 283 billion, the smallest decrease in 5 years, minus 0.35%, but afterwards it went back to trend, so in 2021 minus 1.06% to 280 billion shares, and then it especially accelerated in 2022, so minus 3.93% year over year to 269 billion shares. And in the most recent quarter, the number of shares out is at 256 billion, down almost 5% for the quarter year over year. So in 5 years, Lockheed Martin went from 288 to 256 million shares out, which is a decrease of 32 million, and at the current price of $450 per share, that is a stock buyback of around $14.4 billion US. Now let's also check into dividends. So in 2018 they had a dividend payout of $6.98 per share, kept on consistently increasing that through the years, and we saw the highest dividend yield in 2021 at 3.14% with a payout of $10.08. But afterwards, with the price surging, even though the payout kept going up, in 2022 we saw the yield bottoming at 2.33%. Now recently, as the move in price slowed down a bit, the stock is trading at a dividend yield of 2.6%, which is not the lowest it has ever been, but also nowhere near those peaks of 2022 and 2021. But how much of an opportunity do we have here for this dividend yield? To check on that, we'll use my dividend investing watchlist on Google Sheets. Now we have the table and graph for Lockheed Martin. Here is the dividend yield history for each quarter of the last 5 years. And it seems that in 5 years on average the stock was trading at a dividend yield of 2.58%. So the worst time to get into the stock was back in 2019, where it was trading at a dividend yield of 2.27%, below the 5-year average for 11.93%. And the best time to get into the stock was by the end of 2021 at a dividend of 3.14%, over average for 21.82%. Though if we are considering taking the stock right now at a dividend yield of 2.64%, that is not too bad, as it is a bit higher than that 5-year average plus 2.41%. Now this is here information for Lockheed Martin specifically, but if you are interested in other dividend paying stocks, you are able to access this watchlist by following the first link at the top of the description. Otherwise, feel free to add a ticker symbol in a comment below, and I'll consider adding that into the watchlist. Maybe next time we can check how your stock compares to its 5-year dividend yield history. Now for this next part, we'll take a look into analysts' expectations. So on Yahoo Finance, we have information for price targets from 19 analysts. The price targets range from the lows of $371 to the highs of $579 per share. On average, they come in at $508.79, and currently Lockheed Martin is trading at $455.12. This suggests that on average analysts expect that in 1 year the stock price should be going up by around 12%. Now let's take another angle. Here are next year's earnings per share estimates from 20 analysts. So they predict that on average the company will be bringing $20.09, and comparing it to this year's result, that is an increase for next year of 3.4%. So all in all, analysts do expect at least a modest earnings and price growth from around 3 to 12%. Now there is one more part I want to take a look into, which is Superinvestor and insider activity. So currently Lockheed Martin is being held by 4 names. The largest position is in Yachtman Asset Management portfolio. It takes 1.56% of it, and they are holding 333,000 shares, valued at almost $160 million. But they actually have recently trimmed their position by a bit. Similar situation with Terray funds. They reduced the position by 3.47% and are now holding 5,566 shares, valued at $2.6 million. The other 2 portfolios are holding, but overall we only see reductions in LMT positions. Now another part is insider activity. So in the last 6 months, insiders made 6 long trades, totaling at $501,000, but in the same time managed to make 13 sells, adding to $9.2 million. So they sold way more, around 18 times more than they bought. Overall, not great result of what we can find from both Superinvestors and insiders. So we went through the metrics that I wanted to take a look into. It seems there were 2 improvements, but there were also 2 metrics that got worse. So revenue in 2022 went lower than it was in 2021. There is not anymore that consistent increase that we saw last year. And this year's start is also not at all promising, with plus 1% for the quarter year over year. Regarding the price to earnings ratio, there's also no improvement. It sits at around 20, where it has previously been at 15 for at least 3 years. Now at least the share buyback part looks great. They are increasingly buying back shares. now at 32 million in 5 years, up from 26 that we saw last year. Now regarding dividends, there's also some improvement. The current yield is still not great as that it has been in the last 5 years, but at least it is higher than average, plus 2.24%. Also, analysts are getting more bullish, as in 1 year they are expecting that the share price will be going up from 3 to almost 12%. Though superinvestors aren't sharing that enthusiasm, they are trimming on their positions, and insiders are definitely not hanging around, in the last 6 months selling 18 times more stock than they have been buying. So we have checked into the metrics for Lockheed Martin. There are some improvements that we find from the previous check, but I don't believe that this is enough for us, so we'll have to keep on looking, and maybe there is a better opportunity that could be added into this dividend portfolio for more industrials exposure. Now what do you think? Are you buying into LMT right now? Share your opinion on this stock or suggest a better ticker in a comment below. Also, don't forget to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. Last time I've compared fundamentals of a few dividend paying names, so if you are interested in that, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.